All right, so today we're diving deep right into the heart of Zig Ziglar's Born to Win, or at least the excerpts you all sent in. It's Find Your Success Code, right? That subtitle, it just grabs you.
Yeah, it does.
And what we're really aiming for today is to pull out those core philosophies, those nuggets of wisdom that can help you achieve success.
Absolutely.
Not just, in one area of life, but in all of them.
Right, a holistic approach.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to hit on some really fascinating stuff like why just feeling inspired isn't enough,
Yeah, that fleeting inspiration.
Exactly. But when you pair hope with a solid plan, that's where the magic happens. We'll dig into that.
For sure.
And then there's this whole concept of will, skill, and refill. It's like a secret formula for continuous improvement.
Oh, it's so powerful, that one.
Isn't it? And of course, we can't forget the importance of sticking with it, commitment and perseverance.
The cornerstones.
Absolutely. And how to actually set goals that you'll actually achieve, not just write them down and forget about them.
Goals with teeth.
Yes. And then the crucial role of character. That's non-negotiable.
Absolute fundamental.
And the power of practice, which can be surprising.
More than people realize.
Totally. And how to get the right advice, because not all advice is created equal.
Oh, that's huge. Knowing who to listen to.
So important. And then finally, that expectation of winning, cultivating that and how it can literally change everything.
I'm excited to unpack all of this.
Me too. All right, let's jump in. So right off the bat, Ziglar makes this really interesting distinction between inspiration and hope.
Yeah, and it's subtle, but so important. He says inspiration is fleeting. You get that surge of, I can do that too.
Yeah, that wow moment.
Exactly. But it fades often quickly. Hope, though, real hope, particularly when it's combined with a clear plan, that's what truly propels you forward.
It's like that if he can, I can phenomenon. You see someone achieve something amazing, and for a moment you're like, I could do that. But then reality sets in.
And that's where the plan comes in. It takes that hope, that possibility, and turns it into actionable steps.
So true. And he has this great quote, you cannot control what happens to you, but you can control how you respond to what happens to you.
That is so powerful because it puts the agency back in your hands. No matter what life throws at you, you have control over your response.
It's about that mindset shift, from feeling like a victim to taking charge of your own narrative.
And that segues perfectly into his will, skill, and refill philosophy. This is essential, he says, for anyone who wants to continuously improve and grow.
Yeah, this one's a game changer. So break it down for us. What does will, skill, and refill actually mean?
It's surprisingly simple, really. You need to be intentionally refilling your mind on a daily basis with things that build your will, which is your determination, your drive, and your skill, your knowledge base, your abilities.
It's like a daily mental refuel, right?
Exactly.
Making sure your engine has the right kind of fuel to keep going.
And he gives all sorts of practical examples, reading books that challenge you, inspire you, listening to podcasts, maybe even this one.
Maybe.
Or audio programs that broaden your perspective, teach you something new. He actually coined this term automobile university, where you use your commute time to learn.
That's so smart, turning what's usually dead time into something productive. Like imagine what you could learn during your daily commute.
A whole new skill set, maybe. And this all goes back to a fundamental belief of Ziglar's. He said, you are who you are and what you are because of what has gone into your mind. You can change who you are and what you are by changing what goes into your mind.
So powerful. You're not stuck, you can evolve.
And it starts with what you feed your mind.
Okay, so you've got the power of hope with a plan and this continuous self-improvement thing going on. But Ziglar also really stresses that just like wanting something isn't enough.
Right. It's a good starting point.
Yeah, desire is important. But he says you also need serious commitment and especially perseverance.
He's adamant about that it's not a straight shot to success.
Oh, absolutely. So walk us through that. How does he break it down?
Well, he argues that genuine desire, that's the spark.
Right, the initial flame.
But it's commitment that provides the focus, the consistency, that sustained effort you need to actually make progress.
Okay, so commitment is like the fuel that keeps the fire going.
I like that.
Yeah.
And then you've got perseverance, and that's what gets you through the tough times. When you hit a roadblock, when you want to quit, perseverance is that inner strength that keeps you going.
It's like the grit.
Exactly, the grit.
And he uses this analogy of a golf swing. Like, if you take your eye off the ball even for a second, you get distracted, your shot's going to be off.
Oh, for sure.
And he says the same with pursuing your goals. Those distractions, that information overload we all experience, it can really derail you.
Absolutely. So commitment, in a sense, is about keeping your focus on those specific actions that are going to lead you to the specific results you're after. No detours.
And what I find really compelling is that he brings in his own life experiences to illustrate these points. He's not just speaking theoretically.
Right, he's got the receipts.
Exactly. He talks very openly about facing some really serious financial struggles early in his career.
Like having his utilities shut off, having to give a car back. Pretty serious stuff.
Yeah. And it was his unwavering commitment to his dream, becoming a professional speaker, that kept him going.
Which, by the way, took him 18 years to achieve full time.
18 years. I mean, think about that. It really challenges that whole overnight success myth.
Definitely. It shows you that achieving those big goals, often it's a marathon, not a sprint.
So true. Okay, let's move on to this be, do, have framework. What's the core message there?
It's all about getting the order right. He says you have to be before you can do and do before you can have.
Okay, break that down a little. What does that actually mean for, someone listening trying to apply this?
Well, it means that you first need to cultivate the right mindset, the right character, the right habits. You have to become the kind of person who is capable of achieving the things you want to achieve.
So internal development before external success.
Exactly. And then from that foundation, you take consistent action. You do the things that are necessary to achieve your goals.
So you're not just wishing and hoping.
Nope. You're putting in the work. And then naturally, as a result of who you are and what you're doing, you'll have the success you desire.
I like that. It's like a natural progression.
Right. And what's interesting is he also dedicates a good chunk of time to defining what success is not.
Yeah, that part really resonated with me.
It's thought-provoking, isn't it? Like, he says success isn't just about amassing a ton of wealth.
Or being busy all the time.
Yeah, that constant hustle. He lists things like neglecting your family.
Or using TV as an escape. Or just chasing money mindlessly beyond what you need.
Or going through the motions of faith, just checking the box.
Or having that all work, no play mentality.
And letting your health deteriorate because you're so busy.
Or being constantly worried, stressed out.
Multitasking to a dangerous degree. All those things, he says, are not signs of true success.
It's like a reality check. Success should be holistic.
Exactly. And that's where his wheel of life comes in. It's a great tool for you to actually assess how satisfied you are in different areas of your life.
Yeah, I love that visual. So you've got your career, your relationships, your physical health, finances, spiritual well-being.
It forces you to take a good hard look and see where you might be neglecting things.
And the core principle behind it is this. Your thoughts drive your choices lead to your actions, and your actions produce your results.
So if you want different results in any area of your life, you got to start with your thoughts.
Change your thinking, change your life. Now that leads us perfectly to the foundation stones of success, which are all about character.
Yeah. This is bedrock stuff.
He lays out 6 of them. Honesty, character itself, faith, integrity, love, and loyalty. Why are these so important to him?
He believes they're the building blocks of everything. He says these foundational stones, they're the raw materials for your thoughts. They shape who you are as a person, and that, in turn, influences what you do and what you have. It's your code for success or failure.
Because everything flows from those core values.
Exactly. He even quotes Frank Outlaw, who said, "Watch your thoughts. They become words. Watch your words. They become actions. Watch your actions. They become habits. Watch your habits. They become character. Watch your character. It becomes your destiny." Powerful stuff, right?
It really is. And when he lists character itself as a foundation stone, I think it's worth pausing on that for a second. He's not just talking about doing honest things now and then. He's talking about building a solid, consistent moral core. It's about being a person of integrity through and through.
It's the foundation upon which all those other virtues stand.
And he argues that your character is largely shaped by how you see yourself in relation to something bigger than yourself.
He uses that very touching story about Ben Hooper, a boy who faced a lot of rejection growing up.
Yeah, and he found acceptance and hope through a new preacher in town.
And that transformed his life. That really underscored how powerful belief and acceptance can be.
It's like that positive influence, that belief someone else has in you, it can literally reshape who you become.
And then there's faith. Now, for Ziglar, he was very clear that this was about a personal relationship with God. He saw the Bible as his owner's manual for life.
Yeah, but he was always careful to emphasize that it's about your personal set of guiding beliefs.
So finding what works for you, what resonates with your soul.
Then he talks about integrity and loyalty. These are like the twin pillars of trust.
He shares a definition of integrity from Dwight Ike Rayard, who says it's being one with God, yourself, and your loved ones.
I love that. It's about that inner alignment.
And then loyalty, which is so crucial for leadership. He says you can't truly lead others effectively if you haven't cultivated loyalty.
People need to know they can depend on you. Okay, so we've got this solid character foundation in place. Now we can move on to setting goals.
Right, because without that foundation, your goals are likely to be off-kilter.
He places such a huge emphasis on having absolute clarity about what you want and then developing a plan to get there. He even quotes Jim Rohn, who said, "It's not the direction of the wind, but the setting of the sails that really matters."
Such a great visual. It doesn't matter what challenges or obstacles come your way. If your sails are set right, you'll still reach your destination.
And he gives 6 very compelling reasons why goal setting is so important.
Bringing the future into the present so you can take action now. Preventing wasted time and energy.
Yeah, no more wandering aimlessly.
Increasing your productivity. He has this funny analogy about treating every day like the day before a vacation.
That's a good one. Suddenly you're so much more efficient.
Right. And then there's the financial aspect. He cites research showing that people who set goals consistently earn more money.
That definitely got my attention.
And of course, goal setting is essential for your whole born to win journey.
Gives you that roadmap.
And also for getting a clear picture of where you stand right now. He suggests using that wheel of life again to assess your starting point.
So you know where you need to focus your efforts.
Exactly.
Okay, so he's convinced us that goal setting is crucial. But how do we actually do it effectively? He has a specific 7-step process, doesn't he?
He does. And the first step is to clearly identify your goal.
And not just in a vague way.
No. He stresses being super specific. So not just I want to make more money, but I want to increase my income by 20% this year.
Concrete and measurable.
Exactly. And the second step is to list the benefits of achieving that goal.
What will it actually do for you?
Right. How will your life be better? The third step is to list any obstacles you might encounter. He even suggests bouncing this off a trusted friend to get an outside perspective.
That's a great idea, because sometimes we can be blind to our own blind spots.
Absolutely. And the fourth step is to identify the skills and knowledge you'll need to acquire.
So if your goal is to, say, start your own business, you might need to learn about marketing, finance, all that.
Right. He gives the example of someone wanting to be more computer proficient, and that might lead to the goal of learning to type faster. The fifth step is to identify any people, groups, or organizations that can help you.
That's smart, building your support network.
The sixth step is to develop a detailed plan of action. Break that goal down into manageable steps.
So you know what to do and when.
And finally, the seventh step, and this one's crucial. Set a deadline.
Because a goal without a deadline is just a wish.
Exactly. And he emphasizes the importance of accountability, of having someone or something to keep you on track.
Because let's be real, it's easy to let those goals slide if there's no real pressure.
It's human nature. And he acknowledges that achieving big goals often requires sacrifice.
That paying the price concept.
Right. He uses the analogy of committing to a weight loss journey. It takes consistent effort, discipline.
You can't just wish yourself thinner. You have to put in the work.
And he uses another great analogy, comparing achieving goals to winning a sports contest. It's about mastering the fundamentals and executing them consistently, even when you don't feel like it.
It's that dedication, that showing up even when it's hard, that makes all the difference. Now, he also talks about finding value and purpose in your goals.
Yeah, this is about aligning those goals with something bigger than yourself. He shares his own experience, his spiritual awakening at 45, and how that shifted his focus from being self-centered to being other-centered.
That's a powerful transformation.
And he argues that everyone has a unique purpose, often one that involves making a positive difference in the world.
And finding that purpose, it fuels your motivation, doesn't it?
Absolutely. He even quotes Joan of Arc, who said, "I'm not afraid. I was born to do this."
Talk about purpose.
Right. And he addresses the fear of failure head on, encouraging people to actually write down their goals, because he says avoiding that act, while it might feel safer, can actually limit your potential.
You're kind of playing small. Now, another really important element he talks about is the power of encouragement.
This one's so important.
He talks about the importance of surrounding yourself with people who believe in you, who have achieved things themselves.
He calls them encouragers. These are the people who have taken risks, who have seen success, and they're willing to share their experiences, their wisdom, their mistakes even, with you.
They're like your personal cheerleading squad.
And he even shares a really personal story about his daughter Julie and her husband Jim, who were going through a rough patch in their marriage.
Yeah, that was a really vulnerable story.
It was, and through counseling, they were able to reconcile and rebuild their relationship.
It just shows that even when things seem really tough, there's always hope.
Always.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit and talk about knowledge. Ziglar is a big proponent of lifelong learning.
Oh, he's passionate about that. He even asks, what's exciting about knowledge?
And his answer is everything.
He revisits that automobile university concept,
Huh.
encouraging people to use their commutes, any downtime really, for learning.
He tells these great stories about people whose lives were changed by listening to his recordings in their cars.
He was a big believer in making the most of every minute, and he was concerned about how many people stop actively learning after their formal education ends.
It's like they think they've learned all they need to know.
Which is such a shame because the human brain is capable of so much more.
And he emphasizes the connection between knowledge and making good decisions.
He uses examples from the business world, showing how understanding the long-term benefits of things like honesty and loyalty can help you avoid making bad choices.
So it's not just about acquiring knowledge for knowledge's sake. It's about using it to make better decisions, to live a better life.
Exactly.
All right, let's move on to practice.
Yes, the power of practice. Ziglar uses the golf analogy again here, saying that anyone can become proficient at something with enough practice.
But that most people never reach their full potential because they don't put in the hours.
Exactly. And he explains that part of the born to win process is doing new things, stepping outside your comfort zone, which can be scary.
Because we all fear failure.
Right. But he uses the example of learning to ride a bike. At first, it's scary. You might fall.
But with practice, you master it.
And the fear disappears. He also tells the story of Mark Yu, a young piano prodigy who practices hours every day.
That's dedication.
And he touches on Malcolm Gladwell's 10,000 hours concept.
The idea that it takes that much dedicated practice to achieve mastery in any field.
And Ziglar stresses the importance of practicing even the little things.
Yeah, those small details, they can make a big difference.
He tells this great story about a sales closing where the emphasis is on practicing the specific act of asking for the signature. It sounds minor, but that focus, that deliberate practice can be incredibly effective.
It's about finding those little things in your own life, your own work, and just getting really good at them.
And he makes it clear that this applies to anything you want to improve.
Any skill, any habit.
From public speaking to delivering a homeschool curriculum to, anything, really.
And his point is, practice leads to competence, competence leads to confidence, and confidence leads to success.
It's that chain reaction.
Now, we can't talk about success without talking about getting the right advice. Ziglar dedicates a whole section to this.
He's a big believer in learning from others.
He says that experience is incredibly valuable, and you can get it either directly or by learning from what others have gone through.
Which is so much cheaper and less painful.
Right. Why make the same mistakes someone else has already made?
He also observes that a lot of people are resistant to taking advice.
They'd rather bang their heads against the wall and figure it out on their own.
It's a pride thing, maybe.
Yeah.
He makes this great distinction between what he calls demigods and statesmen.
Explain that one.
Well, demigods, they only want to hear yes. They surround themselves with people who constantly agree with them.
The yes men.
Exactly. But statesmen, they actually seek out wise counsel.
They're open to different perspectives.
They want to hear the truth, even if it's hard to hear. And he shares this really interesting observation from Gavin de Becker, who says that we often second-guess ourselves when we're actually right.
And become stubborn when we're wrong.
Exactly. So the times when we feel most certain are often the times when we need advice the most.
Counterintuitive, but true. And he even uses the example of Abraham Lincoln, who famously chose former rivals to be on his cabinet.
You talk about humility and seeking diverse perspective.
Right. He was willing to surround himself with people who had challenged him in the past.
And Ziglar introduces this concept of being an advice miner.
What does that mean?
It means you have to be discerning. You sift through the advice you're given, taking the gold and leaving the rest.
Not all advice is good advice.
Exactly. He tells this cautionary tale about Viktor Serebriakov, who was given some really bad advice early in his life, and it held him back for years.
So be careful who you listen to.
So important. So how do you find good advisors? What should you...
All right, hit us with them.
First and foremost, good character.
That's foundational.
He quotes J.P. Morgan, who said, "Character is the best collateral you can have."
Better than money in the bank?
The second quality is a proven track record of success.
Don't just take their word for it. See the evidence.
The third is honesty, especially about themselves. If they're not honest about their own flaws, how can you trust their advice? The fourth is being a good decision maker.
Wisdom is key.
The fifth is the ability to see things from your perspective, to really understand your goals and challenges. The sixth is the willingness to tell you what you need to hear, not just what you want to hear.
That takes courage.
And the seventh, and this one's interesting, is that they celebrate the success of others.
They're not jealous or competitive?
Right. They genuinely want to see you succeed. And he illustrates this with the story of Julie's friend, who was incredibly supportive during those tough times in her marriage.
It's like they're invested in your success.
They want to see you win.
All right, so we're nearing the end of our deep dive here. And the final section of the book is titled, Expecting to Win.
This is where it all comes together.
He starts by asking, what's the difference between people who consistently win and those who don't?
And he says, while talent and preparation are important, a huge part of it is the expectation of winning.
It's that belief in yourself that you can and will achieve what you set out to do.
But he's quick to point out that this isn't just some magical thinking.
It's not just wishing and hoping.
No, it's an expectation that you earn through preparation and conviction.
You've put in the work, you've built that solid foundation, now you expect the results. And to help you on that right to expect success, he outlines 3 key dimensions of life that need daily attention: the spiritual, the mental, and the physical.
Like a 3-legged stool.
Let's start with the spiritual. He says this is often the most neglected, but also the most important.
He calls it the controlling factor. It influences your attitude, which dictates your altitude.
It's about your inner compass, your sense of purpose and meaning.
He talks about his own experience of spiritual transformation and how it changed his entire outlook on life.
So it's not just about religion necessarily. It's about connecting to something larger than yourself.
Finding your why. And he emphasizes that humans are spiritual beings, driven by beliefs and faith.
Not just by the basic instincts of survival like animals.
We have a deep need for hope, for love, for something that transcends the material world.
And he comes back to that idea of an owner's manual for life, for your spiritual journey.
Finding those guiding principles that resonate with you.
Okay, let's talk about the mental dimension.
Well, his message here is simple. To be a winner, you have to think like a winner.
That mental game is so important.
He uses the analogy of the brain as a muscle that needs exercise, just like your physical body.
So we need to be actively engaging our minds.
Exactly. And he highlights 2 key objectives for this mental exercise. First, you need to constantly be taking in new information.
Reading, listening, learning.
Your automobile university in action.
And second, you need to process and apply that information.
He suggests taking quiet time for reflection, contemplation, visualization.
So it's not just about cramming your head with facts. It's about understanding them, integrating them, making them your own.
And he cautions against information overload. It's important to be selective, to choose what you let into your mind.
That makes sense.
Okay.
Now, the last dimension he talks about is the physical.
And this is where he stresses the importance of taking care of your body.
That mind-body connection.
He shares his own story of weight loss and the benefits he's reaped from a healthier lifestyle.
It impacts everything, doesn't it? Your energy levels, your mood, your focus.
He also talks about the importance of physical well-being as you age.
You want to be able to enjoy those later years.
Exactly.
Okay, let's circle back to hope and encouragement. He tells this incredible story about Susan, who was battling cancer.
A really powerful story of resilience.
And how her hope, her positive attitude, had such a positive impact on her treatment and her overall well-being.
It really underscores the power of the mind. He says hope fuels a positive attitude, which determines your altitude.
It's about believing in the possibility of a better future.
And he emphasizes the role of encouragement in creating that hope.
Having people in your life who lift you up.
He also talks about the importance of focusing on those self-evidently true principles. Like that classic line, it's your attitude, not your aptitude, that determines your altitude.
So true. And he points out a key difference between people with hope and those without. People with hope look for opportunities. Those without hope look for reasons why things won't work.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, really. Now, he also dives into the topic of worry.
Which can be so debilitating.
He shares a really thought-provoking story about an alcoholic father and his two sons. Both grew up in the same tough environment, but one son became successful, the other followed in his father's footsteps.
It shows that even with the same starting point, you have a choice in how you respond to your circumstances.
It's about taking responsibility for your own life.
And he emphasizes that worry doesn't change anything.
He makes a distinction between normal concerns and what he calls imagined worry.
The kind of worry that keeps you up at night, but doesn't actually solve anything.
He even quotes Mary Crowley, who said, "Worry is a misuse of the imagination."
It's so true.
And he encourages people to focus their energy on the present moment, taking positive action today to build a brighter tomorrow.
Don't dwell on what might go wrong. Focus on what you can do right now to make things better.
He even suggests actively imagining things working out well.
Visualizing success.
And he shares that amazing story of Bernie Lofchick and his son David, who is diagnosed with cerebral palsy.
Yeah, the doctors had a pretty grim prognosis.
But Bernie and his wife refused to give up hope. They focused on what they could do, they sought out the best treatments, and David defied all expectations.
It's a testament to the power of hope and perseverance.
And he also touches on those things that treasure worry, like comparing yourself to others.
That's a recipe for unhappiness.
And that whole mind-reading thing where you assume you know what others are thinking.
Which can create so much unnecessary drama.
He advocates for open communication, for just asking people what they're thinking instead of guessing.
It's so much simpler and less stressful.
Definitely.
Okay, now he lays out what he calls the 6 principles of performance for maintaining that expectation of success.
This is like the cheat sheet for winning.
All right, let's hear them.
First, we generally get from ourselves and others what we expect.
The self-fulfilling prophecy.
Second, the difference between good and excellent companies is training.
Invest in yourself. Invest in your people.
Third, companies that don't train don't last.
You got to keep growing and evolving to stay competitive.
Fourth, you find what you look for in life.
Focus on the positive. Seek out opportunities.
Fifth, you can't climb the ladder of success dressed in the costume of failure.
Presentation matters. Belief matters.
And sixth, happiness, joy, and gratitude are universal if we know what to look for.
It's a choice, really.
He says you can find happiness by helping others get what they want. And the moment you start worrying about what you don't have, you lose gratitude for what you do have.
So much wisdom there. And he emphasizes that true success comes from having the right attitude, and that it has to be genuine, not fake.